Now, the first thing we're going to make is an Italian ice, and Italian ice has a lot of different names. In New York, we call it Italian ice. In Philadelphia, the same product's called Italian water ice. Down in Arkansas, it's called Greek ices because 7 Greek brothers left Brooklyn, went to Arkansas, and they said, why should we call it Italian ice? We're Greek. So they call it Greek ices. In Hawaii, Bubby's Ice Cream calls it Hawaiian ice. A fancy French restaurant calls it sorbet. The Italians call it sorbetto. It's all sugar, water, and flavor. It's all the same stuff. It's just a matter of the different flavors. Italian ice in the old days was lemon, cherry, grape, orange, chocolate. Those were New York flavors. But if I went into a fancy restaurant, I might be doing kiwi, mango, anisette, pear. You know, same sugar water formula, just a little bit more upscale. Same idea. But Lilly is interesting. Lilly, I knew Lilly a very long time ago. I was probably about 20 years old when I met Lilly, so you know that was a long time ago. And Lilly was up in Harlem, and Lilly was this elderly black lady back then, and her husband ran the largest company that supplied security dogs. So you could go into Lilly's place and get a great Italian ice and get your leg bit off. You know, it was wonderful. Lilly had a formula called Lilly with the Nuts, and she swore me and every other supplier to secrecy until she died. And then after that, we were allowed to talk about it. So now you can go on the internet and you'll find different variations of Lilly with the Nuts, but for the most part, it's usually only sold in Harlem or in the Bronx. You know, you don't see it a lot of places. And it consists of our usual Italian ice stuff, sugar and water, but we're going to use vanilla instead of, say, lemon ice. We're going to use some rum and toasted slivered almonds, toasted, roasted. That's the key. If you buy slivered almonds and they haven't been roasted or toasted, they're just going to turn mushy. So I was too lazy to toast slivered almonds, so I bought something called roasted slivered almonds. Should be the same thing, that were also roasted in honey. So I think they could be pretty interesting. I have not made this in years, so I'm going to rely on Jeff to taste it before we make it. When you make ice cream, if it comes right out of the machine, which you'll see today, you might say, you know, that's really good, but Steve didn't put enough vanilla in. And I probably didn't. The flavor blooms over a short period of time. What you make this morning is going to taste a whole lot better by tonight. The flavor expands. That's true of ice cream. With Italian ices, what you taste is what you get. So you can taste the product right before you freeze it and know that it's good, and you can make slight adjustments. I have just dozens and dozens of recipes at my website, but every one of them, if you follow them, you'll have a perfect product, except for the Sharknado ice. That never took off too well, did it?
But you know, the Sharknado 2 was
Sharknado 2 was even better. It was in HD. It was wonderful. Lots of recipes, but you'll take those recipes, and the basic sugar-water ratio and flavor is going to get you a great product. And then you'll adapt it to your own personal taste. An example, if I was making this size machine of vanilla ice cream, I was using 3 ounces of vanilla. Jeff uses an ounce of vanilla for every quart of dairy product. And when you taste his vanilla this afternoon, it was far better than anything I did. So I adapted my formula to what he does. So you can always learn. When I go on vacation, when Paul and I and Sadie go on vacation, we always go to ice cream parlors because you can always pick up a little tip here or something there. We have a convention coming up soon in Lexington, Kentucky, NICRA, National Ice Cream Retailers Association. And a guy named Ford, who owns Weber's Ice Cream, says he's been to the last 18 out of 19 of them. And all the years he's been in business, he said, I always learn something new just by talking to other people. It's a friendly business. So we've got, you've got everything. 3.5 quarts of water, 2.5 pounds of sugar right here. Now, this is just plain cane sugar, nothing fancy about it. There's no difference between cane sugar, cane sugar and, say, a brand name like Domino. It's all the same stuff. So buy it the cheapest you can. Sometimes the cheapest is to buy it wholesale in a 100-pound bag. Many times the supermarket puts this on for sale as what they call a loss leader. They want to get you into the store to buy the expensive frozen foods, so they put sugar down to 49 cents a pound, and I run in and buy 50 pounds worth. So just keep an eye out. Sugar varies, but sugar is sugar. So we're going to pour that in.
On that note,
Yes.
I found that sugar really isn't sugar. I buy, like Steve, I have a huge bin in the store, and I keep 50 pounds at a time. And I found that the less expensive store brand sugar clumps. Whereas, are you doing that on purpose?
Yeah.
So that they can't hear me?
Yeah.
Whereas
You said that you're getting old and you have some bumps.
Whereas the Domino's
So
just
Sadie.
doesn't clump. So I don't know. Maybe it's...
No, you're absolutely right. The more expensive sugars have chemicals in them as an anti-clumping agent.
Yeah,
They do
man.
the same thing
Get
for
those
salt.
chemicals in there.
They can't afford to do it in the cheap sugar. So if it clumps, you just pound it like that, grab your bag and move it around.
So as a result, I buy Domino's.
Oh, okay. Well, if I was driving your Maserati and had your business, I'd buy Domino too.
There you go.
All right, sugar dissolves very easily in cold water. You don't have to boil the sugar in the water. You don't have to do anything special. Even if when we pour it in, there's a little line of residue. A little bit of sugar compared to 2.5 pounds of sugar, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. But dissolve it first.
Yeah, don't pour the sugar right into the machine. It's a terrific abrasive.
Yeah, it's like sandpaper.
It's like sugar.
The sugar is. Again, make sure the gate's closed. Open that up. We're going to pour this in. You can see I spilled a little. Okay, so we've got the water, we've got the sugar. Here's Jeff's measured out the vanilla.
And the rum.
And the rum's in here too? Okay, great.
Well, with only one measuring cup, I had to do double duty.
That's fine. And I'm just going to mix that up and then ask Jeff to try it. Yes.
Better check his ID.
Thank you.
Why don't you put the vanilla and the rum and the sugar before you put it in the machine?
You could.
Question was, why don't you put the rum and vanilla in with the sugar and water? You could. It makes no difference. It's all going the same place.
I told you he's trouble.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, going to have you taste that.
No, just a spoon. Spoon.
This is the only way I can do it. This is called a squeeze cup. There you go. Let me know how the proportions are. Oh, gee.
Perfect.
Wow. He once said that at the turn of the last century. Okay. This is the infinite overrun
Don't
control.
forget the nuts.
Yeah, we're going to put that in. This is the infinite overrun control. This allows me to vary the speed of the machine. Quite simply, to talk about air content, and let me get a couple of points real quick. Nobody ever walked out of an ice cream parlor and said, you know what, that's the best damn air content ice cream I ever ate. People don't eat air content, they eat flavor. So if you took some heavy cream and put it in here and stirred it with a whisk, it's going to remain heavy cream. If you take the heavy cream in an electric mixer, which can go much faster, and put it in here, it'll turn into whipped cream. Same concept with my infinite overrun control, which is now 12 years old. We can raise and lower the speed of the drive to give us a very heavy custard. The next lighter one up would be gelato, and then would be, call it Haagen-Dazs, then super premium, and then homemade. So you can adjust that. With sugar water, it doesn't make any difference. There's no fat cells in sugar and water, so it's not going to expand more than approximately 17%. If you take this formula and put it in ice cube trays, remember what an ice cube tray looked like? And you put it in that and fill it up high and put it in your freezer, you'll notice that those ice cubes crown over a little bit. That's the water expanding. If you don't put antifreeze in your radiator of your car, it breaks the engine block because the water expands. The normal expansion of water is 17%, so that's all you're going to get in addition to running it, so speed doesn't matter. So I'm going to hit begin. I'm going to go to Italian Ice, and I'm going to hit start, and it's going to immediately take me up to the speed that I want for Italian Ice, which is full speed on this machine. Now I'm going to turn on the refrigeration, and we're off to the races. Make sure the water's turned on to the machine. There's no kinks in the water line. I should see water coming out here, and I do. We're good to go. Now, I don't put a timer on the machine. Anything you put on this machine built in the United States of America has to meet National Sanitation Foundation, or NSF, and Underwriters Laboratories. You all know UL. So if I put a cheap timer on this machine,
anything I need a can
here's a
opener
cheap
for?
timer. It's cost me $6. If I put that on the machine, your cost is going to be about $250. It's got to be waterproof. It's got to be NSF. It's got to be UL. And it's tied into the machine, which is what other companies do. So if this $6 timer breaks, it takes down your whole machine. If I just buy a cheap timer for $6 and set it for whatever time I want and let it sit there, if that breaks, I just pick it up and I throw it away and go buy a new one. You know, it's no big deal. I don't want gadgets on my machine, and a timer is a gadget. The other thing I don't want on my machine is a little dinky hose that comes out and you can spray it right here. Well, I'm sloppy. I'm making a mess over here. I'm making a mess over there, and this is just cold water. You ever try cleaning up butter fat or butter with cold water? You smear it on your floor and see if cold water will clean it up. So I would just spend a little bit of money and have a hose reel here, hot and cold water, that I could come over here. I can hose down the whole machine. I can hose down the floor. I can hit Jeff. You just get the whole area nice and clean. Very simple. No unnecessary gadgets. So this is going to run the nuts. Thank you. We're going to add the nuts. Without the nuts, yeah. Now, this is the only machinery on the market. This is simple. This is the only machine on the market that you can add things to it. Nuts, cookies, candies. When I do a trade show, I just drive the competition insane because I take a couple of pounds of bananas and just peel them and just drop them right into the machine. They'll void your warranty if you do that because their freezing cylinder is so paper thin that putting nuts into the machine will damage it. Ours is 6 times thicker. You'll see when I give you the tour of the factory. We don't stamp our cylinders to be paper-thin spaghetti pots. We take plate stainless steel and we roll it on a big machine, and then we weld on the back plate, and that cylinder's forever. But everything goes in. Why do I want to put it in? Because if I'm adding it out here, it's Lilly with nuts added to it. If I add it in here, it's Lilly with the nuts. For every particle of lemon, vanilla, Italian Ice, there's a piece of a toasted slivered almond next to it. If I'm making strawberry ice cream, for every particle of vanilla, there's a particle of strawberry next to it. So there's a downside to that, and that is if I put whole strawberries in here, because they're so soft, it's going to grind them up like a Cuisinart. So if you were blindfolded and you taste it, you say, yep, that's strawberry ice cream. You take the blindfold off, and all you see is a pale pink ice cream. It has the flavor, but it doesn't have any identity. Where are the strawberries? So my recipe on about this size machine would call for a quart of strawberries. I'd put half a quart in the machine so I get my fruit flavor, and the second half, instead of opening the gate, which you'll see me do and discharge it all in less than 30 seconds, maybe I'll open it halfway, and I'll just shake in my pieces of strawberry so I have the flavor inside the machine and the identity of what it is as it's coming out. Along that line, Jeff, as you can see from his shirt, is enamored with dyes, but he doesn't use them in his ice cream. You go look at his ice cream. Am I correct? You don't use dyes? Never dyes. No red dye 40, no yellow 17, no green. Yeah, you don't want it. So Jeff's might have a pale pink ice cream, and you taste it, and you say, oh, that's fantastic. Oh, with Jeff, you taste it, you say, oh, that's great. That's a wonderful red raspberry ice cream. That's a good ice cream maker. If you go to an ice cream parlor and you taste a pale pink ice cream, and you say, that's delicious, what is it? Well, the ice cream maker just failed at their profession because you can't tell that it's red raspberry instead of strawberry. So it didn't have enough flavor. We can talk all day about machines and overrun and all that, but when it comes down to it, what counts here is flavor. Flavor is what people eat. And if you don't have good flavor and sufficient flavor, you don't have ice cream. So it's really just that simple. So this will keep running, and when this is ready, we'll pull it out, and we have a couple ways of serving it. This is a New York way of eating it. We call that a squeeze cup. Now, if you ask your paper supplier to get you squeeze cups, unless he's from Brooklyn or the Bronx or Manhattan, he's going to look at you like a deer in the headlights. He doesn't know what a squeeze cup is. It's technically known as a pleated, like a lady's dress, a pleated water cup. So if you go into our kitchen, let's say, and there's the water cooler there, and you grab a cup and get some water, that's a pleated water cup. We use it as an Italian ice cup and have for 100 years. Put the Italian ice in there and you eat it up from the bottom, and then you throw it away. So it's a lot of fun. It saves you having to have spoons and bowls and everything else. So that's the New York way of serving it, but you serve it the way people are going to like it. I once was doing a trade show, National Restaurant Show in Chicago, and this young lady comes in, and she's from Laguna Beach, California, and we're talking ices, and I give her a sample of ice, and I give it to her in a squeeze cup, but then I hand her a spoon, and she looks at me incredulous. She says, "What's that for?" I said, "Because you're from California." She said, "Oh, but I grew up in Brooklyn." So she knew what a squeeze cup was. But these are a lot of fun. The only difference in this product between Italian ice and sorbet is that. There's a nice fancy dish. For this squeeze cup of 4 ounces, I'm probably going to get $1.50 to $2. It's going to cost me about 6 cents to make, with the rum a little bit more. If I put the same product into this nice cup and call it vanilla rum sorbet, I can sell this in a restaurant for about $7 or $8 after dinner. Same product, just different marketing. That's all it is.
Where's the mix?
The mix is in the refrigerator.
Out there?
Yeah. Question, yes.
When using rum or any other alcohol, when do you have to start worrying about liquor licenses?
The question is, when do you have to start worrying about liquor licenses? Immediately. Every state is different about their liquor licensing. They have rules and regulations. Where I'm from, New York, is surprisingly one of the most liberal in the country. And you want to tread lightly, so you have a friend call the state and ask them, what's the quantity that I can put into a pastry? Because pastry shops have been making Baba rums forever, and they have rum in them. So let someone else, I don't want to, okay, this is about ready. I don't want to call up the health department and say, I'm Steve's Ice Cream Parlor and I want to put booze in everything. They're going to be knocking on your door, you're opening up bureaucracy, call somebody else. And if your store's in Miami, call Tallahassee, another part of the state. We do that in California all the time. Los Angeles is a nightmare to deal with, and Sacramento is quite easy. So all my customers call Sacramento. But they'll tell you what the amount is that you can put in. This is ready. I'm going to turn off the refrigeration. How do I know it's ready? Is I'm opening and closing it, and it cuts off like a knife went through it. Ken, can you zoom in on that? See how that cuts off? And it has a nice dry look to it. So here we go. Lilly with the nuts. And from here, I would go to another flavor similar. Actually, on this one, it's so unique because it's got rum in it, it's got almonds. I'll rinse out the machine. If I was doing vanilla ice cream, I would then go to strawberry, Bordeaux cherry, black raspberry, pistachio nut salad. Each one's a fruit flavor and going darker and darker as we go down. So, spatula, if we see one. Here we are. Again, I kept my sterile water off to the side so I can just dip it in there. Hibiscus dominicus. And that's going to really empty that out. And we turn it off. That's how easy it was. Let me just show you that. We'll just get the camera on that. And that's Lilly with the nuts. So come on up and try this. Come on.
Napkins, dude.
Napkins. You're asking the world. Here you go.
Have a smaller scoop, so it's going to be a little messy.
Okay.
Do we have a smaller scoop?
I got Z-rolls.
Over on the left.
On the left. Which left? That left. Okay. That's a valid question. Stage right or stage left? There you go.
Thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what they always. Because it's got the rum in it. Can I have one for my older sister? Yeah, sure. Oh, you've got one.
Sammy, come here, girl.